Recorded to cloud. All right, we'll probably have a couple more folks pop on as we get going, but it's 7 o'clock here in Roanoke, Virginia at the Economic Development Studio. Home quarters. And tonight, Antonio Stovall is going to take over the show and talk to us about some of the work that he's doing and share a presentation. And before we do that, I do want to put a plug out there that Simone Patterson is working super hard on the street mural that's going to be on Saturday. We've got about 51 volunteers that have signed up for that. You can paint, or there are other options too if you don't feel like painting. And I think it's going to be a terrific day. The rain date is the 11th. I want to give a big shout out to Polly Branch, who this past weekend, Polly, you want to tell us what you did this past weekend?
I will. Hello, everyone. My audio is weird on my side, but I'm hoping it's fine on your side. And we had a successful event on Sunday with the unveiling or opening of the enlargements of 7 David Ramey images on the garage wall of Gainsborough Garage. So that's near the Higher Ed Center and Henry Street. So if you're on Henry Street Bridge or looking at the Martin Luther King sculpture, you'll see it there. And it identifies much of the history in the 40s and 50s of Gainsborough and Henry Street in particular, that zone of businesses and entertainment and services in the valley. And yeah, I think it was a nice turnout. It was a hot day, so some people weren't able to join us. Some of the elders drove by in their cars and said hello and thank you and see you next time, maybe. And which I also hope will happen, that could be a new kind of gathering space. And so it was almost 9-month process with Doug and the neighborhood groups who came together to choose which images would be on the wall. And I felt very honored to be a part of the process, to hear stories, to look through the images with people and hear their stories that were inspired by looking at David's drawings and reading some of his stories. So yeah, I hope everyone gets a chance to go by and look at it.
Thanks, Polly. And as part of that, they made it David Ramey Day, and they read a resolution that acknowledged urban renewal and talked about, a bit of a path forward and the way that what kind of community we want to be, and designated that parking lot as the Ramey lot, and then announced a small David Ramey Fund for Art in Place in Gainsborough, which just means that there's money the neighborhood as they're working with artists and residents, as they're working together, as they say, hey, we've got a project we want to do, that there's just easy access to funding. And it's small amounts of funding, but that goes, that can do a lot. We realize a lot of times it's not how much money we have or the money necessarily, but we don't need a whole lot of money, but it can be a barrier in a way of the conversation, because the first thing you say is, well, where do we get the money? And that kind of stops the conversation sometimes. So that's there. But in addition, any artist, anybody who's working with a neighborhood group and you're developing a project, we got resources. For a community-driven project, we have resources. So it's just a matter of lining them up. We have them in the bank ready to go. And I just found out we've got a good chunk for public art dollars, which is where we're funding. Some of that money is coming out to fund artists and residents. We've got a good installment in that this coming year. I want to give a shout out to Samel. She's been out there working hard on the street alongside Phoenix and Simone in preparing for Saturday. So thank you. And I would put it out there, any one or two things before we pass it on to Antonio. He's got a full conversation for us tonight. So I don't want to take too long before passing it over to him.
I
You
just
got
want
anything? Yeah.
I just want to plug
Okay.
this. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna
Good.
say thank you, and it has been fun painting the street. It's been a dream of mine to spray paint, and uh, so I was like, yes, I will come out and spray paint the street. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and that narrowing of the street is already it's fantastic. It already makes a huge difference. And when we get the bright color on there, it's
And
gonna
people
give
are
you-
already starting to use it, so it's like a sidewalk now. It's really cool to see the neighborhood using it as we are painting also. So yeah, it's a great addition to the street for safety and for the people in the neighborhood.
Excellent. And I've seen a lot of names on the sign up sheet, Charlene and Molly, and some others who've signed up. Oh, yeah, Amy, that's who I was gonna start. Yeah, Amy signed up for it. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you all out there on Saturday. And then Susie.
Nope, go ahead. Thanks.
Okay. Any, you got anything?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet, but,
Oh, we're gonna hear it here first. Okay.
I'm working on a mural project, my first one,
Excellent,
with
yes,
John,
yes.
over at the West End Center, that is hopefully now moving forward, and I'm very excited about it. Never done it before, so looking
Excellent.
forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll see about John Merle, our muralist in residence, along with Katrina. Katrina and Catherine Devine were out on Friday getting input for the 10th Street mural. That one, the one that Rachel Ann's working on, and then maybe 4 others between now and October. So we'll have about 6 more murals happening. So lots of progress happening here. And I see my friend Charlene on camera, and I just have to point out that Charlene, I say 12 years ago, 13 years ago on the Arts Commission, was just like, we need to do murals. We need to do murals. And at that point, the city wasn't lined up for it, and they said we couldn't do it. But then with change of leadership, now we're able to do it. So I'm glad that Charlene's back on the Arts Commission as we're able to work on these projects. Okay, and with that, Antonio, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, Doug, thank you. Thank you everyone for being a part of this this moment and listening to this presentation. It's going to be an amazing journey, a lot of information, very enlightening experience. So let me just go ahead and get started. Let me get started. Let me see. All right. So let me get to actual presentation real quick. There we go. All right, so what is this? Oh, what is this right here, Doug? I just out of that. There we go. Can everybody see me? I mean, can everybody see my screen?
Sure. Yep, you got it now.
Do I sound pretty clear?
You sound great right there, yep.
Okay, perfect. So this presentation is called Healers of the Hood, presents radical healing in order to change our community. So this actual presentation was suggested by Jane. I shared this information a year ago for a workshop that I was doing for the gun violence grant. And the basis of this presentation is basically to give insight about the challenges that we see in our community, Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, and Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, and Southeast within the Black community, African American community. So I'm just going to, because a lot of the things that we see, it just didn't happen overnight. We're talking about a generational trauma that has been passed down. Even the things that we see in Lansdowne, we see in Southwest, the Hurt Park area, 8th Street, Gilmer, all that, it all has a origin. So before we get started, I always like to want to give thanks for this moment, give thanks for each breath that we take, give thanks for just being alive. So everybody could just take a moment just to check in with their heart and just feel and just be in the moment and show gratitude. So usually right here, we do like a little meditation. This presentation is actually like 3 to 4 hours long. However, I'm going to shorten. We're not going to go through all the slides. We're going to go through just the main points, just so you all can get an idea of what it means to be a hood healer and how we can use this method to continue to help heal our community. A lot of things that we are doing within the art initiative, I mean, we're already doing it. So this right here, I think will give us more insight and become like more confirmation that we are going on the right path. So most people, if you don't know, I'm a contract worker through TAP. I teach an African American culture class at TAP. This be my 4th year teaching. My class, my program was recognized nationally. We made Essence Magazine, Black Enterprise, and Yahoo News. And the reason being is because of the transformational work that the program is doing, basically giving youth a sense of self, teaching them about the points of mindfulness, teaching them about the points of culture, history, teaching them about the points of nutrition, teaching them about the importance of connecting with nature, just being a better person. And I also, the year before last, I was working as a youth and gang violence outreach worker with Roanoke City. It was a great experience. I worked with Chris Roberts. And it was, like I said, I learned a lot working with a lot of the young guys that were in the gang culture. And the reason why I could connect with them, because I grew up in that lifestyle. I grew up in that environment, so I could relate to a lot of things that the young guys were going through. So this is my business, Ancestral Perspective. It was founded in 2014. And my goal with Ancestral Perspective, this is actually in front of Melrose Park. So my goal was with Ancestral Perspective was to provide cultural awareness. So we started selling books, DVDs, we're doing podcasts, doing a lot of self-development stuff, medic yoga, meditation, self-defense, also teaching about the importance of holistic healing, 21-day detox, doing consultations, also created a rite of passage program, and also doing spiritual consultations for adults. And the rites of passage programs is more so for the youth, because again, the youth are in need for identity. So a lot of the youth that we see in our community, they're trying to be drug dealers, they're trying to be gangsters, they're trying to be thugs, but in reality, this is not who they are. So my programs and my services provide them a sense of self. And some of the books that I was selling was like books dealing with like religion, nutrition, history, economics, spirituality. There's so many different things that the average person here in Roanoke didn't have access. So who am I? My name is Antonio Stovall, also known as Mkulu Kula Makusina, and I'll get into that. My initiatic name, I was born here, right here in Roanoke, Virginia. I grew up in Northwest, Southwest. My blood, my family, my friends are all over Roanoke. So when I talk about helping Roanoke, I just don't look at Northwest, I don't look at Southwest, Southeast, Northeast. I look at the whole, because in order for us to heal, you have to, I believe in order to heal, you have to heal the whole human being, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
And Antonio, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, and I think it might be the screen. It seems like when you face a kind of away from the screen, the screen around the microphone, the windscreen. It seems like if you talk over it, we can get you, but as soon as it's going into it, that might be blocking it a little bit. Is there a way to kind of move that and try it?
Yeah, let me,
talk more directly into the mic.
yeah, let me try to, is that better?
I can't quite tell.
Is that, hold on, let me just take out the mic. Let me take the mic out. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Is that better?
I think that's better. Yeah. So sorry, what you're saying is so important. We don't want to miss a word of it.
Okay, so, but does it sound better now?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. All right, so like I say, I grew up in Northwest, but I also spent a lot of time in Southwest. I learned a lot in Southwest, because when I moved to Southwest, it was just like and when I say Southwest, I mean the Hurt Park, Perry Park area, and it was just like a totally different paradigm. And what I mean by that is 15 to 20 years ago, Southwest is totally different because Hurt Park is no longer Hurt Park. Hurt Park was tore down. But 15, 20 years ago, Southwest or that Hurt Park area was infested with drugs, prostitution, alcoholics. It was pretty bad. So most people who know me from playing basketball. I went to Patrick Henry. I played basketball for Patrick Henry. I ended up getting a full scholarship to play at Virginia Union. Um, and it was, again, another amazing experience. I would have never thought that if you would have asked me my 12th grade year what I wanted to be, I would have even told you I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to be in the streets because literally that's all I knew. Because my brother was in the streets, my cousins, my brother's friends. So that's all I seen. So that's all I thought I had. That was the only opportunities that I thought I had was to either play basketball or be in the streets. As I got older and I started to become more self-aware and understand the importance of culture, history, I started to see that's not true. So back in 2012, there's an African proverb that says, if you want to know somebody, look behind them. So right now, I'm just basically giving you history about who I am and how I got to this moment. So who are my teachers? So back in 2012, in Hurt Park, I got one of the worst calls in my life. I just found out that my mother was murdered. And in that moment, when I found out, I could have done either two things. I could have went on a path of self-destruction because I knew how to destroy myself because I grew up around it, or I could have went on a path of just trying to make sense of this traumatic experience. So I went with the path of trying to heal myself. So this took me on a different journey, traveling around the country, learning from other, I would call them master teachers. Right here is Dr. Jewel Pookrum, who is well known internationally. She's basically a neuroscientist. She teaches about the importance of developing the brain, synchronizing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, using different meditation techniques. Also, I had the opportunity to go to Egypt. Again, this is a guy grew up in Southwest, grew up in poverty. I would have never thought in a million years I would go to Egypt. And matter of fact, when I went to Egypt, I actually finished my Kemetic yoga certification in Egypt. This right here is a picture of me with some brothers from West Africa. I had the opportunity to study with the Dogon tribe for 2.5 years. The Dogons are well known, one of the most studied tribes in the United States. I mean, in the world, and they're known for their understanding of the cosmos, the understanding of the celestial bodies. So I had the opportunity to study with them. I learned Sunt, which is traditional healing. I learned Kat Ibi, which is traditional meditation. And I also learned Medu Ma'it, which is basically the Egyptian hieroglyphs, learning how to read, write, and speak the Egyptian hieroglyphs. This right here is somebody who is a staple in, does anybody know who this is right here? Because he's a staple in the Northwest community. That is James Kabler. He was the one who ran Champs Boxing Gym. He was one of my teachers. He the one taught me how to box. His family asked me to speak at his funeral. An incredible human being. This right here, the guy, I guess to my left, was one of Bruce Lee's classmates. So I'm also a Wing Chun practitioner. To the right, you'll see my Kung Fu family. We're at the star, but like I said, to the left was one of Bruce Lee's classmates. Right here was another gym that was in our city. May he rest in peace, Dr. David Imhotep. He was Muhammad Ali's nutritionist for his last 7 fights. He wrote a book called The First Americans Were African, and he was well known internationally. You can look him up online. Unfortunately, he transitioned like last year. He passed away, but his book is one of the best selling books on Amazon right now. And he came and spoke to my class at Win Fleming. This brother right here was to the left. Well, to the right, you'll see a brother that was in Black Panther. And to the left of him, he was also in Black Panther. And he was one of my teachers. May he rest in peace as well, named Chief Amachi. And I had the opportunity to study with Queen Afua. For those who don't know about Queen Afua, she is a internationally known holistic health practitioner. She's worked with Erykah Badu. She's worked with a lot of famous people that are either athletes or entertainers. This is another brother, one of my teachers from DC. His name is Baba Kwesi. Another great human being that I had the opportunity to study under. And he taught me about, again, yoga, meditation, and just, again, the importance of knowledge yourself. And lastly, this is my teacher, Baba Yeye Gogo. She's from Baltimore, but she traveled to South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, and she is a Sangoma, which is basically a shaman from South Africa. So I had the opportunity to study with her for 3 years to become a Sangoma. And that right, and to the left, you see me and two of my sisters, my spiritual sisters. We had just finished that 3-year journey, and it was challenging, the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, but I got through it. And this is one of our teachers that's a part of our lineage. His name is Baba Credo Mutwa, and I don't think I will be able to show the video because I didn't put the sound on this because I wanted to share this video. But basically in this video, he's talking about art. And he's talking about how in order for us to heal our community, we have to start using art. And when we look at, he's basically saying, you have two types of people in the world: people who create and people who destroy. And when you look at some of the ancient civilizations, whether it be ancient Egypt, some of the ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, you see that art was used in order to create a legacy, but also to create healing within the community and within the people. So that's basically what the video was saying, but I wish I could show it, but I don't think I'll be able to. All right, so what is HOOD? HOOD is an acronym. So basically HOOD is short for neighborhood. But HOOD is an acronym. So HOOD, health. So the H stands for health. We believe that healthy people build a healthy world. So we focus on holistic health techniques that empower individuals and the collective mind and body. Optimism. So even though we see that there's a lot of chaos going on around us, around the world, it's important to remain optimistic because perspective is everything. Ownership, meaning that it's important that we take ownership of our behavior and not point fingers to others, not blaming this person or that group of people, but no, taking ownership of your own behavior. Discipline. It's important to have discipline, especially when you're trying to heal, because on the process of healing, you're going to be pulled in so many different directions, but discipline is going to help you remain focused. All right. So what is radical healing? Radical healing refers to a process that restores individual and collective healing. Radical healing is a transformative process that empowers individuals to positively impact their environment for the betterment of society. This process fosters personal well-being, community health, and promotes social justice by encouraging people to act on behalf of others with hope, joy, and a sense of possibility. So what is the mission of a hood healer? To become a positive role model for change, to inspire others to evolve their thinking. Because in the times that we in right now, I think it's going to be important that we be open to other ways of thinking and other ways of living. Okay, I see that. All right, next, number 3, to become a bridge of unity within Roanoke City and beyond. To become solution-based, to transform a negative situation into a positive one. And lastly, to know thyself. Okay. What is our vision? Hood Healers is a community movement that promotes mental health and holistic wellness through practices such as mindful meditation, yoga, nutrition, self-defense, and cultural and historical awareness and community service. We offer workshops, lectures, and programs for adults and children to enrich the community and provide life-changing information. And a quote, our goal is straightforward. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We are ready to tap into our inner healer. So, for example, some of the programming that we're doing right now, we actually are teaming up with 727, a boxing gym that is right behind Lansdowne. And for the next 4 weeks, we are having a free boxing mentorship program for the youth. And what's unique about this boxing program is that you have different instructors with different backgrounds. So with me, I'm into Kung Fu, I'm into yoga. So I bring that to the table. We have Tim Wade, who's into MMA. He brings his specialties to the table. And you have another guy, Aaron Black. I forget Aaron's last name, but Aaron, he's a strong man, and he has his own gym on Brambleton. And he basically teaches the importance of building strength for combat. And lastly, we have Antoine Curtis, who is also an MMA fighter. And we believe that by our youth learning these particular skills, they are, again, building up self-confidence. They are building an understanding of the importance of mental health and physical health. And teamwork. It's just a lot that goes on with them being a part of this boxing mentorship program. So this picture right here is me back in 2012. And the reason why I share this picture right here, because I was on a radio station called 540. And I was speaking about holistic health. And this is in 2012. And I'm going to be honest with you, in my community, people thought I was talking gibberish. They didn't understand the concepts of mindful meditation, eating a plant-based diet, connecting with nature. I growing up, again, these are concepts that I didn't hear family or friends talking about. When I would go, even though I grew up in Southwest, I had family and friends in Northwest, and like I said, I have family and friends in Northwest. I didn't hear those conversations at the dinner table, or I didn't hear those conversations. So during this time in my life, I was really I was really promoting the importance of holistic wellness. And now in 2024, I think more people within the Black community are more open to the idea of holistic healing. So this is the logo for Hood Healer. And you notice this is a Native American medicine wheel. And you see that I have within it, it has northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. And you have the wings, and the wings represents angelic an angelic force or a higher force that's going to help bring unity within our city. And in order for us to heal as a collective, the whole needs to be healed. So we have to focus on not only Northwest, but Northeast, Southwest, Southeast. We have to understand that what actually happened in Southwest when Hurt Park projects was tore down is a connection to what we're seeing in Northwest. But you got to understand a lot of, what's the best way to say this? A lot of things that were happening in Southwest just migrated to Northwest, basically. So again, and one of the things I wanted to do, and I talked to Doug about this, is actually try to lift the spirit up in that Hurt Park community. Because ever since Hurt Park projects has been torn down, the spirit in that community, the identity of that community has been lost. So my goal is to help with that, help restore that identity. So this is from one of my other mentors. I don't know, this is a great book, The 4 Pivots by Dr. Sean Jimwright, PhD. Awareness, pivot from lens to mirror and shift from external focus that limits our perception to one of honest self-reflection. So he talks about, in order for us to truly heal, no matter what your background is, no matter what your social status is, we all have to take the time to do self-reflection, because we just can't look in poverty-stricken neighborhoods and feel like in order, like they just have to heal. No, we all have some type of trauma. That's just the reality. We all been through something. Connection. Pivot from transactional to transformative relationship. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
All right. So what that means is we have to start getting to having relationships where they're not surface level. We have to start building deeper, more meaningful relationships. And me telling my story, you telling your story, and you really getting to know me, and me taking the time to really get to know you. That's how we start to heal. Vision, reimagine how we think and act by shifting from problem fixing to possibility creation. So a lot of times we hear a lot of people complaining about all the issues, all the problems, but we have to come up with a solution. We have to come up with a solution. And lastly, presence, move from hustle to flow, move from addiction to frenzy rooted in extractive capitalism to a fine and calmer, gentler, and more productive flow. So in other words, we have to find balance. One thing about me, I love the community, but at the same time, I love my family. I love the community, but at the same time, I love myself. So I'm going to balance the two worlds. I'm going to balance the world of doing the work for the community, but I'm not going to burn myself out trying to save the community. And that's what he basically talks about in the 4 pivots, that we have to have that balance of not burning ourselves out, but taking the time to really having our self-care days as well. This is a deep quote right here. In order to transform a system, the people in those systems have to transform. So we can't just look at the people in Lansdowne and say that they have to transform. We can't say the people on A Street, they have to transform. Melrose, Southwest, Carew, the people downtown have to transform. The people in TAP have to transform. The people in Goodwill have to. Everybody, this is a collective. Everybody has to be a part of the change. What to expect from this workshop? So I'll just go. That's basically discover radical healing methods, real conversation, learn something new, et cetera, et cetera. Workshop overview, we will be discussing youth development ideas and concepts that come from leading experts in the alternative educational field. And I go to the next thing because I don't want to take up too much time. The wrong first question is, what do we need to do? The right first question is, who do we need to become? at the end, if you're not part of my social media platform, one thing you will see after every post I say is the only way out is in. Meaning the only way out of suffering, depression, anger, jealousy, et cetera, is start to do the internal work. And I think a lot of times we get so busy that we forget about doing the internal work. I think a lot of times we want to save the community so much that we forget about saving ourselves. So what are some of the challenges we are facing as a country? And I usually open for a discussion right here. If anybody wanted to share one thing, if anybody want to share one thing, the challenges that we see that we're facing as a country, I'm open to it.
Polarization, not
Say it again.
listening.
I'm sorry, say it again, I'm sorry.
Polarization and not
Oh,
polarization and not listening to one another, not
okay.
hearing.
Perfect. So how did we get here? So we have to understand that when we're in these different communities, when we're in Lansdowne, when we're in Southwest, when we're in the Heights, when we're in Carew, when we're in 8th Street, Gainsborough, we have to understand that the suffering that we see in those communities, it just didn't happen overnight. It came from somewhere. So this is where we have to study the impact of the transatlantic slave trade and how that impacted our people and how it's still impacting us to this day.
Hello and welcome.
I did not want to. And so the next thing I asked, we talked, this is another discussion question, but we're not going to get into it, is what if more children in the African-American community learned more about who they were? How would that impact them? Yes, they're learning history in school. However, my students tell me that from elementary all the way up to high school, they're literally learning about the same historical figures. So what if they started to expand the historical perspective of African-American people? And how would that impact? I think that would have an amazing impact on our youth. So does slavery still exist? So this comes from this is from Netflix. I think it's called I forget 13 Facts from 13. So this basically, I actually talked about this in my class today. We discussed a little bit about this. I have over 20-something students in my class, my B1 class. And I asked them, raise your hand if you have somebody, a man in your family that ever went to jail or prison. Majority, all of them, maybe two of them didn't raise their hand. So, and I had to let them know that that's not normal. But some of them think it is normal. When I was growing up, I thought it was normal. That's not normal. What can parents do to become primary educators? So it goes back to, yes, we can help the youth. We can create programs for the youth, et cetera, after school programming. But the parents also have to be a part of the change as well. All right. So post-traumatic slave syndrome, how is it different from PTSD? So this expert right here, she goes into how we're still being impacted by post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Post-traumatic slave.
This right here was another link, basically talking about how diet is linked to violence. So you got, like, some of my students, they come into class and for breakfast they're eating Takis. Y'all know what Takis is, right? Takis, they're eating chips, they're eating candy, and they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and yet you have certain youth who come to school and their first meal of the day is sugar. And you have some of the youth, they're not drinking, they don't drink water. They're not eating fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. Again, when I was coming up, I was one of those young men who didn't understand the importance of healthy eating. But as soon as I started to become more health conscious, as soon as I started to change up my diet, I noticed a change in my thinking. As soon as I changed up my diet. So a local doctor discusses health disparities plaguing the African-American community. Again, even right now, there's so many, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable it's unbelievable to hear about so many people right now that are in the African-American community here in Roanoke suffering from chronic illness. I'm talking about guys that I grew up with, guys that are my age, they're suffering from heart disease. Some are suffering from diabetes. Some of them are being diagnosed with cancer. Some of them are battling mental health issues. It's bad. So this is why having these conversations are so important, because we need to start getting this type of information out there. So also childhood diet is linked to mental health as well. This is another elephant in the room that I think gets overlooked, how the crack era changed the Black community, and how a lot of what we're seeing in our community when it comes to our youth, they are products of the crack era. They are the crack babies. They are the products of the crack era. So in this video, she basically goes into that. We will see. Another thing, the pandemic, how the pandemic, we're dealing with, after the pandemic, we're dealing with a totally different child now. The pandemic changed everything. But when it comes to our youth, we're dealing with a totally different child. So with that being said, we have to take a totally new approach. And that's why I believe that the art and what we're doing and getting them back outside into nature, getting them away from their cell phones, and getting them collaborating and being creative, that's a part of the healing right there.
We are now more than.
So what can be done to improve the relationships between home and the school? So this right here is an interesting video, because this brother right here, named Supernova Slum, he goes into the history, the Bloods and the Crips. And once you understand the history of the Bloods and the Crips, you will see that the Bloods and Crips were created to protect their community. So it was one of those things where we look at the Bloods and Crips today and see it as something as negative. But once you start to understand the origins of the Bloods and Crips and why these individuals created the organization, you will see that they created for protection and protection of the community. So he basically goes into the history of that. All right, and this is another thing that's impacting our community. Drill music. Drill music is, if anybody has never heard of drill music is basically music that comes out of Chicago. And in drill music, they glorify killing each other. And what's different, rap music has always talked about drugs, killing, et cetera, et cetera. But the difference with this music is they're not only rapping about it, they're actually doing it. There's a difference between rapping and telling a story versus rapping and speaking on things that a friend or you may have done for real in real life. And this is what a lot of our youth, they gravitate towards this type of music.
In recent years, drill music has gained insane popularity.
So this goes into the youth gangs in Chicago. So why are so many of our gangs why are so many of our youth joining gangs? It's simple. They're looking for community. They're looking for brotherhood. They're looking for love. When we start to study ancient civilizations, you'll see that the community had rites of passage programs. They had initiations. They had an opportunity where a child got to a particular age. Now that child goes off with the elders, with the men or with the women to learn how to be a man, learn how to be a woman. Unfortunately, in the African American community, and due to slavery, a lot of that knowledge, a lot of that wisdom was lost. So now you have youth who don't know who they are. They get into gangs because it gives them a sense of self.
Chicago faces an
So this is a book by Ra Nefer Amin Meduneta. He says, unlike Western education, which seeks to teach people to make better things, the African traditional education system aims at making better people. So these are the things that our ancestors were teaching us in school, not to be a better worker, but just teaching you how to be a better human being. And that's what we teach at, that's what I do with my rites of passage programs and with my African American culture program, just teaching the youth how to be better human beings. All right. Healing starts when we start to heal our hearts. This is how we start bringing healing to our community. The root cause of the trauma is in the environment, not the individual. Dr. Sean Jenwright. So this is why the art is so important, because with the art, we are now changing the environment. With the murals, we're now changing the environment. With the street art, we're changing the environment. And we don't know how that can impact the psyche of a young brother or a young sister. That is, let's look at the pictures. I can relate to that young brother sitting on the ground, looking sad. I can relate to that. More than likely, he's disappointed. More than likely, he's not getting, he misses his father. Or with my case, I was missing my brother. This is a great documentary right here. You can find this on YouTube called Black Boys. You get the opportunity, please watch it. It's a great documentary. It just talks about the struggles Black boys have, but at the same time, the importance of having mentors and Black men in their life in order for them to build their confidence. This is a book called The Warrior Method. This is a book that I use for my curriculum. It's a great book. So I'm not going to be able to get through all this. So we might have to cut it short. But so we'll go through some of these. Destructive Black male behavior. We have the super slave. We have the super slave, the hip hop hustler, the killers, and the wanna never bees. So the super slave is Black males who occupy high position of authority, yet are so infected by white supremacy that they work against freeing others from racial oppression. Hip hop hustlers, black males who rationalize violence and self-destruction and behavior under the disguise of keeping it real. The killers, the ultimate in self-destruction among Black males. The males actually wreak direct destruction on Black communities in the form of selling drugs, sex trafficking, and committing murder. And lastly, the wanna never bees, people who disconnect themselves from Black culture psychologically, which leads to cultural confusion about one's identity. The constructive Black male, the warrior, the strategist, and the healers. So this is the warrior. These Black men directly engaged with white supremacist systems. They are the civil rights leaders, community organizers, writers, and artists who leave no doubt that their protest writing and art fights against racism. The Ethiopian word jegna captures the meaning of this group of men. Psychologist Wade Nobles describes a jegna as follows: a very brave person who is a protector of a culture that the right of his or her people and their land. The strategists are clear in their commitment to Black people. They often hold positions of power and be reluctant to take risks that involves the loss of power, but they will never work against their community. The healers, educators, the physicians, ministers who equip Black people with the knowledge of self are healers. They focus on individuals rather than systems, but have a deep understanding of how systems work, particularly as they impact Black people. And I'm gonna stop right here. It is not Black boys who must be examined, but child rearing techniques that must be restricted so that these boys grow up healthy despite the racism that assaults them on a daily basis. What we have here is the classic question of what came first: the racist society or the dysfunctional Black male? I end right there. I still have a lot more, but we only got 10 more minutes. And if anybody want to ask any questions, or I'll leave it there. I appreciate y'all. Let's give me this opportunity to share this presentation with you all. Hopefully it gave you some insight about what we are seeing in our community.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Antonio, would you be willing to share the links like to the videos that you shared with us tonight? Because I'd really like to follow up and watch the videos that we didn't have time to watch.
Yes, I will. I definitely will.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
A lot of this resonates with me, and I really appreciate the work you're doing. It's really important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like we could have stopped on any one of those slides and talked, had an hour-long conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Antonio, this was a great presentation. Thank you. Very much appreciate you sharing that information. When can we expect like your workshop schedule? Like, when do you plan to roll out the workshops?
I'm actually in the midst of putting some stuff together right now. I actually have a retreat that I'm preparing for. It's going to be in Craig County. It's the yoga venture retreat, and I'll be also doing some stuff with Utara, and I'm also working with. My goal is to work with the Hurt Park community to put some type of event together in July, and I also would like to do I would like to do something at McCatton Park as well. I would like to do like a blessing of the land type of event at McCatton Park.
All right, I'll be looking on social media to see what you got coming next. Thank you again.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Robin.
What is your social media handle?
Antonio D. Stovall. Antonio D. Stovall. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry I rushed through it. Like I said, it was a lot of information, and I wish that we could have really had like a conversation because that's actually what I would like to do. I wanted to do for us to have an actual conversation because I believe that we would have unpacked a lot from it. And
I think there's still opportunity for that as well, Antonio. And we're happy to use this space however we can. Additionally, as you're planning the events, whether it's in Hurt Park or McCadden Park, as you're planning those events, let us know what resources you need, how we can help support, and maybe during part of that process, there's a learning opportunity for this network, for this group of folks. you know, I can already, I can kind of sense from the group, there's a lot of interest in learning, exploring, thinking, acting. So if you see opportunities for that, let's do it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you did have to rush through because there's just too much to have covered in this, but it gave, I think all of us on the call, at least I speak for myself in saying that it gave us a taste of what of the work that you're doing and of that there is so much more, and that I think, yeah, we're just going to want to keep following along and seeing how we can be helpful to you in this and learn from it.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Antonio, I think you definitely planted,
Oh, hey, Ben.
I think you definitely planted some seeds, and yeah, I mean, we got to digest this a little bit, but I've been processing it a little bit. I mean, I really, you made me look at, some was mentioned, you asked what's a problem in the country, and it's this polarization. And then you were talking about the Bloods and the Crips, and why do young men want to go into one or the other? Well, it's the same reason that we're polarized, is because we all want to belong to a tribe. We all want to,
Yes.
we all want that sense of belonging.
Yes.
And so then it brings me back to what you were saying at the very beginning is, well, okay, yeah, we can think about these young men that are joining the Bloods and the Crips, joining these gangs, but we ought to look inside and say, how are we isolating ourselves?
Yes, yes.
And so it really, like I said, you planted some seeds, and we got to ruminate on it a bit, but definitely more, please.
Thank you, and I see all you all, everybody who's on the call is hood healers as well. Like y'all, everybody's doing the work, so I see you all as hood healers as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention how exciting it is to see the global connections, common principles that many of us try to integrate into our works as artists and healers. Integrating and finding the way we all connected, and especially to the land. So yeah, as many blessings and activities in the parks is I'm all for it. Yes.
Hello, Antonio. This is Samel. How can we be involved in the process or in the healing of the part? Like, how can we be involved and help you in that process? And because I would like to be involved if possible. And thank you for this presentation. It was amazing, and I would love to see more of it and have conversations.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Samel. I think like I said, I'm working on putting some stuff together. And as I put it together, I'll send it out. And again, you can follow me or send me a friend request on, I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but you can send me a friend request on Facebook, and I'll keep you updated with everything.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
No problem.
I just wanted to say real quick, thank you as well. And I was so excited to hear when you mentioned Aaron Blackford that you're working with him.
Oh yeah, Aaron Blackford. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah.
Because he used to be a cop, and ever since he left law enforcement, his mission has been to help troubled youth, particularly Black troubled youth. And I'm glad that you and him have found each other, and he's kind of getting out there and doing it. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad you helped me remember his last name, but he's a great brother. And he let us know that he was a cop, and he was kind of skeptical about letting the students know that. And I was like, nah, you should let them know, because it shows you that, I mean, it's about being, building those transformational relationships, being transparent. And I don't think if the youth knew that he was a cop, I don't think they would hold it against him. I don't think they would hold it against him.
Anybody else? And Antonio, thank you. I'm still noodling over a lot of that as well, and there's a lot of wisdom in it. And I'm thinking about 2012, and think about some of the things that you're talking about and the concepts. And I do feel that, and that there's a lot of, a more opening posture in the community as a whole. I think a
Yes.
lot of the things that you were talking about back then, that people were saying, wow, that's woo-woo, that's out there. I think there's a lot more opportunity for acceptance
Yes.
there. And I've got some chills, after your presentation and throughout it, and thinking, you know, this is exactly it. Those relationships between people, the work within people, and what shapes our community. And that intentional slowness about the process, and remembering that how important that process is, and how important these day-to-day interactions are. And as we're out there as artists in the community and working towards social impact, there's just unlimited opportunity there, I think.
Last thing, I truly believe that this is a big part of the solution to heal our community. And the reason why I say that is because when we're trying to, from a perspective of a Sangoma, we seek to heal the whole. So with that being said, just focusing on youth that are in gangs, it's important that we have those programs. But what about the youth that are athletes? What about the youth that are not in gangs, that are not athletes, that are in the middle, the gray area? And I think with the art, it touches on all of it. And even if you're not into art, you can still benefit from the beauty of art. And I'm still new to the concept of, because like I said, Jane told me that I was an artist, and I didn't see myself as an artist.
And I'd like to jump back in. This is Polly. I don't know if Katrina is on the call, but she is currently looking for youth that are interested in the mural that she's preparing and investigating. So you might want to, y'all hook up a little bit or check in to what each other's doing. Because, you know, finding how we can use our arts, finding the audience, start beginning to build those bridges and relationships, sometimes in neighborhoods that we're not familiar with. It's, you know, the opportunity to be able to partner up with people is really beautiful and powerful.
Yeah. I think in some of the communities, again, the idea of being an artist has become like linear. Because when you think about being an artist, I know me personally, I thought about either somebody who paints, somebody who draws, somebody who does music. But the more I'm open and being around you all, I'm seeing that it's bigger than that. And I think there are others in certain communities that are like me, who just doesn't see the bigger picture of what it means to be an artist. So I think by us doing this work, it will continue to grow, and more people will see that we all have that artist in us.
I got to jump in here because that is really what my project has been for the last several months, is to have these first Monday conversations about how we are all creative and bring it to actual reality of like, how do I make a living? How do I juggle, you know, trying to do some other thing that makes money, but do the thing that is my passion. So it's just a very free and open conversation. Everyone's welcome to join us, and you're welcome to join us. It's the first Monday at the Co-Lab. So I just wanted to jump in and say that because it's just Monday coming up. So no registration, just show up. And it's just it's been very thoughtful conversation about how we can work together and support each other from all the different practices beyond just what we think of artists, not just sculptors or painters, but community, you know, community visionaries and musicians and poets, and everybody has something that they can contribute to this conversation. So I wanted to put that out there for you personally, but for anybody that you think would like to sit down and share a little bit about what they're doing and how we can help each other.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. And Charlene, you got a note for us. Please go. Oh, it's out of focus. Is it the video for the 13 on Netflix?
Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm like Joy, I kind of want to get all those links and spend some time with them. Maybe there's a way we could spend a little bit of time, and I'll talk with Antonio. We'll figure out a way to maybe embed some more conversation as we go forward in coming weeks as Antonio is available. I do want to point out there are a couple of notes in the chat. Katrina said, "I'm here to listen and learn. Thank you." Susie said, "Excited to see what happens with this beautiful work, this artwork. Thank you for everything you're doing." Yeah, terrific. All right, everybody. I think that's it for tonight. We're at our time. Thank you all for the time. Thank you, Antonio, for leading us through this discussion and prompting some really important thought.
Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Everybody have a good night.
All right.
Let's see.